Every nugget worth its while. Voices echo in the night. Certified, go but yeah. Nugget Junction, here we share. Stories, dreams, and beats we break. Feel the vibe, let's do our thing.
Hello everyone, welcome to a special edition of the Nugget Junction. My name is Cranston, and today's pop-up edition is being filmed very far from our usual locations. Usually we'll be filming either in Australia or Central Southern Africa. This time around, we are in Malaysia, in a location that will not be disclosed for the purposes of this interview. However, I have the great pleasure of meeting the gentleman sitting next to me. How are you, sir?
I'm fine, and you're welcome in Malaysia.
Thank you so much.
I'm now a local.
You are, I can tell. If you're not complaining about the heat, you're definitely a local.
Nah, I'm okay. I think I've gotten used to the weather, and yeah, I'm okay.
That's good. Very good. Thank you so much for agreeing to sit with me today.
Well, I thought it is good that we interact, so it is my pleasure.
Thanks. It took a bit of some back and forth messages, and then you were not available, and then when I was available, you were not. When you were, I wasn't, but really here we are now. So we really appreciate it. Thank you for welcoming us into your abode.
Thank you.
It's very cozy. I said that when I walked in, I must say. It's really good.
Well, thanks to the people that are looking after me. I really appreciate.
Are you at liberty to say who's looking after you or no?
Well, I think I would rather leave them out. Not to, we politicians, sometimes, we can stir up the waters. So I would rather leave them out. But yes, there are people that did help me significantly, and somehow settled me. And I can't complain so far. I'm very okay.
Let's take it back. Let's take it way back. Somewhat nearer, closer to the beginning. So let's take it back to, say, high school. Tell us a little bit about yourself. So where did you attend high school? How long ago was it? And if you can give us a brief history of high school into tertiary education, and then we can pick it up from there.
Wow. Yeah. So that's an interesting question. Being asked at 50, going back to my time when I was a youth. So pretty much I attended my school, in the Copper Belt, in the province of the Copper Belt of Zambia, in the district of Ndola, which is the capital district of the province of the Copper Belt. So I was born there, grew up there, went to school there, and I finally completed my senior secondary at a school called Chifubu Secondary School. My growing up was not so easy. It was not so easy, like many African, children, so to say. So when I completed my grade 12, I felt like I should do something to help out other children who may be going through, the kind of things that I went through. So I decided to become a priest.
A priest?
Yeah. So whilst my friends were going to the university and colleges, I went to the seminary. Yeah.
Was this a Catholic seminary?
Yes. Yes, it's a Catholic seminary. I wanted to become a Catholic priest. To be precise.
And how did that go? Did you go through the whole what do they call
formation?
Yeah.
So I went into the seminary, and of course we call it formation because it's a journey. It's not a school where you go to become a doctor or an engineer. when you go into the seminary, you are formed. It is a journey where you grow to be able to serve the Lord through his people. So I went through formation for about 7 years. And of course, during formation, you also attend certain studies, to make you understand some of these life issues. So I did philosophy, I did a bit of theology, and I left in the 7th year.
Seventh year?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
How long is the total?
Well, formation, it differs from one group because the priests that you see in the Catholic Church, yes, they are all priests, and they receive the sacrament of ordination, all of them. But they are families of priests as well as nuns. So different groupings of these priests, they have different years in which they complete their formation. So you have like the religious, those who live in communities, they live together as a community, and they profess a vow of poverty. Okay, because there are basically there are 3 vows: vow of chastity, meaning
Like celibacy,
and then vow of obedience to the superiors, including the bishop, the pope, and all the whatever. And then so others only vow like the local, those we call the diocesans, those who are in the diocese, the local priests. Usually they just profess these 2. Chastity in celibacy, as well as obedience. But when it comes to the religious grouping, mostly the missionaries, those who go to different parts of the world, they live in a group. Those, they have an extra vow of poverty, meaning they own nothing.
Right.
Yeah, because whatever you own belongs to the people of God and everybody else. I mean, basically the religious, they don't own anything themselves. Whatever they own, it is at the service of the people.
I recall I was at St. Mary's some years ago, and there was this very big sort of procession that they do for preparing, the examination year. So grade 9, grade 7, and grade 12, they come together separately, obviously, and it's the whole day. I thought it would be like 30 minutes for like mass. You have mass, and then and the process is done. You get the blessings, but it took the whole day, and they were serious. But the most striking part for me was when half the choir went out at some point, and then they all brought all this food, sugar, meal, cooking oil. And I'm thinking, are they donating this or something? So potentially that
is offering. So that is offering. So, usually because the church is really looked after by its faithful. These are the people that really look after the church. So, and they do this through donations. Some people, they give, their money, they deposit in the bank. But like in Africa, there is what we call inculturation. You give what you have. You give what you have. So you sometimes during mass you see people bringing produce from their farms, and others, of course, they'll bring the sugar, they'll bring the cooking oil. So all that is to make sure that the church is there to fulfill its mission and respond to the needs of the poor.
It was very striking. So after you did that part, how do we connect to your activism?
Yeah.
At some point. So let me phrase the question properly. Can we assume that with that background in mind, it was an impetus into getting into activism? or was there something that happened? Was there any?
You see, I think for me, I mean, whatever I do is part of me. It is how God created me and how He gifted me. So I don't really look at my life so much of being a politician, striving, to be in power, to be the president. I think for me, it is about the service that I can give to people.
Mm-hmm.
And being in politics is just a platform that I use. Because when I left the seminary, I actually came into the country, Zambia. And
sorry, where did you attend the seminary? Was it outside Zambia?
Yes, I did philosophy in Malawi, and then I went to Uganda, and then I came back to Zambia. Okay, in Zambia, I also spent a little bit of time. I was almost 5 years outside the country, and then 2 years within the country.
Okay.
So after that, I decided to just get into business. So I went to university and did information technology. After that, I opened a business. I didn't want to start, looking for a job. No. I opened a company myself, and I started running that company. That was 2004 when I opened that company, and I started running around. I basically had. When I went to the university, actually, I didn't go to the university to get a degree. What I did, I actually chose what courses I'm going to do.
Right.
I just chose what I needed.
Yeah, exactly.
And I left out what I didn't need. Because my aim was not to get a paper and start looking for a job. My aim was, I was like, why should I be looking for a job if I know how to repair computers? And, around that time, the year 2000, there was a hype over IT. The millennium had just
kicked in. Exactly.
Yes. And so there was a market, and basically I would say there was a shortage of, manpower. So I wanted to take that opportunity, and I said, I can't wait to take all those many years. I just have to need to get something quickly and seize the opportunity. And I think it worked out because I opened my company in 2004, and I was moving with my toolkit. I had a toolkit and a few other issues which I put in my briefcase, and I was going from one office to the other, repairing computers, upgrading software, and maintenance. And the company's motto was the computer doctors.
All right.
So I did that, and afterwards.
How long did you do that?
I did that until 2016.
No way.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, until 2016. And the company actually was quite successful because we grew, we had clients, mostly we later on diverted into specialized, so to say, into hospitality. Okay, so we were servicing hotels and lodges.
Right.
And
for the booking systems.
Yes, exactly. The reservations, the restaurant, which is the point of sale, the bar, and the kitchen, the stores. So that is what we specialized in eventually. And we grew. We had about 35 hotels and lodges.
As a client base.
As a client base throughout the country. I had about, at one point, we were 19 of us in our company. That is the highest I got in terms of workers. We were 19. Yeah, so, and we made a bit of money. So with that, I started an NGO.
Let's double click on the NGO. I don't really want to move away from business too much because that's my forte as well. Our stories are slightly similar because when I relocated to Australia, I went with the mindset to say, university in Zambia is difficult enough. How much more, in the West? And so when I went in, I was like, oh my God, I don't even think I'm going to manage this. But after year 1, year 2, I got into the groove of things. And halfway through the second year, I was thinking, why am I sitting here listening to these people tell me about business this and accounting that and finance this and marketing that? Let me get into the, in the field, into the real world and actually apply this. It was quite difficult because I was an immigrant, So
Yeah.
in the Western world, you're an African. They would just say, you guys, you've got elephants on your runways. How do planes even land? Do you know how to spell the word internet? So to break that glass ceiling and then, sort of establish a business, it was really difficult.
Yeah.
But I did the exact same thing. I didn't wait for graduation. I basically picked and chose what made sense and just ran with it.
Yeah.
Eventually, I went back because my wife was like, "Well, you gotta, finish what you started." But I do relate to that. Now, you're running a profitable business. You pick a niche rather than just repairing anything and everything. So you specialize.
Yeah.
As you mentioned, you had up until 19. Up to 19.
Up to
staff.
2016.
Yeah, no, as in the staff members, which means you had a team around you. A very busy team.
Yes.
And
technicians.
Yeah.
We were very busy, very, very busy. We were moving all over the country. We were really busy. Yeah.
The thing that people don't, the audience might appreciate is the being busy doesn't mean just the business. There's also the people who are sick. Someone's wife didn't, pitch up at home. They come emotionally baggaged at work, and so busy in and out. Now, how did you transition from that busy schedule to a not-for-profit? What was that about?
Well, it is just that, I was first of all very grateful because, when you are in the seminary, leaving the seminary sometimes can be very unpredictable. So you don't know, what are you going to do? How are you going to survive out there? But when I came out, I think things went very well with me. Really, I never struggled. And seeing my company also growing as it did, I felt, the need to appreciate God for the blessings that He had given me. And that is why I formed, an NGO. Formed an NGO parallel with to the company.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I got one guy who sort of like I groomed one guy who is actually successfully running the same business at the moment.
Really?
Yeah, he's doing very well. So I groomed up this guy to take over from me whilst I went to the NGO, and this was in 2011.
Wow.
So 2011, I started the NGO whilst this guy was running the Zambian Voice. We pretty much shared the same office because we didn't have the money for the NGO. So we were still in there.
The NGO was called Zambian Voice.
Zambian Voice.
Yes.
Yeah. So
you're sharing. So you couldn't afford a separate office space, or it was easier to be in the same space?
No, we couldn't because the non-governmental organization was non-profit made.
Yeah.
And basically it was just being funded by
the business.
By the business. So yeah, that's why we shared the same office, and it was also easier for me to provide oversight on the business. Yeah. And so I did that. What was unfortunate was that the NGO, put so much pressure on me because it was growing faster, faster than the money that was coming in. Because an NGO growing, it means, more expense. We had more people coming to the office seeking for help. And I kept on time and again, I used to go to the accountant, whatever.
Withdraw. Yeah.
It was like a monster that ate up the business. It was like a monster that ate up the business.
What made you start the Zambian Voice? Did you have an epiphany?
No. It was just I really wanted to. Though I was doing this business, at the back of me, I am a person that is more oriented to, helping the needy. So even as a company, I used to pay for a number of people school fees and whatever. I used to help out like that. So I thought of kind of formalizing it.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
Formalizing it, because once I formalize it, I could also have maybe some people come in. I was hoping that people would come in to help, but unfortunately we couldn't get that sponsorship, that help from other organizations. So it was really more about me, wanting to help out.
How long did you do the Zambian Voice for?
So the Zambian Voice, I struggled with it until 2016.
From 2011?
Yeah, from 2011. Of course, the company was still with us. And in 2016, in trying to get the resources to help out, I came close to the politicians. Because I kind of grew my name under the Zambian Voice.
I remember that I would read about you in the newspapers a lot. Yeah.
So the Zambian Voice grew. Okay, the Zambian Voice grew, and with that, it attracted the politicians because they wanted somebody that would help them.
Yeah, they love numbers. Yeah.
Exactly. So
you love numbers.
So exactly. So the politicians anyway came in, and they dangled the carrot of, we could help you with the resources. Help us, we could also help you with the resources. And this really happened when Michael Chilufya died.
Okay.
When Michael Chilufya died, Edgar Lungu was trying to come up to take over, and he had that challenge because by that time the opposition, particularly President Hakainde Hichilema, by then he was quite strong. He was really strong. So Edgar Lungu needed everybody that he could get to help him. So they came to me so that I can help them win an election.
So when you say they came to you to help them, it would mean that you would be an extended voice, an extension to their voice, or because technically that's what it means. So that
it's basically like an endorsement. I mean,
an endorsement. Yeah,
and in politics, basically, it's an endorsement. Okay, when there is an election, the people that believe in you because you have got them following.
Yeah,
when you endorse somebody, they go with that person. So it is pretty much the endorsement of Edgar Lungu, and of course. You also need to speak for him, to encourage people to vote for him, to move people towards him. So I did that with the hope that once they win, they will be able to help us.
Yeah.
With
scratch my back.
Yes, exactly. And we were very clear. I am a person that is very clear when I'm discussing things. I don't like obscurity, and I'm coming from the IT background, so I don't deal with. For me, it's either it's on or it's off. It's either it's 1 or it's 0. So we were very clear. Up to today, I still remember what we asked of them, and what we wanted was, because I had a number of kids that were actually coming to I had a feeding program, and these children, street kids, would come to my house.
Let's talk a little bit about that. Just a few minutes on that. So what was the feeding program about? How often were you feeding them?
So they were coming over the weekend, Saturday and Sunday. So on Saturday, they would come early in the morning. Some of them used to wake me up, but they knew that Sunday. So all of them, they would come. Whatever, they would just come to my house, and then we would prepare the meal. We would eat, play some music in the afternoon. Some of them, they would sleep around, in the house, because they don't sleep out there. So, they would sleep, they would bath, and they would go back in the evening. Then Sunday, they would come back in the morning. Again, when they come back, we would do a bit of prayers, again, same routine, they eat and then they go. Now, I used to feel very bad. Imagine you see this child coming to your house after eating, and then in the evening, this child is very comfortable, You see a child is sleeping there, and he has bath, and it used to pain me to tell them, to say, no, you have to go, come back tomorrow. I couldn't let them sleep because I didn't know where to.
There wasn't a facility for that.
Exactly. And then they would go, tomorrow they would come back. And then of course there were so many other issues. They would be caught by the police. They would have to go there, and so on and so on. It was not good. So what I wanted a house where I could keep them and feed them there. And then, so we wanted basically a house where we could, an open.
So this is now the list for the PF at the time.
We wanted a house, we wanted a vehicle, for because I was really moving a lot for them, doing the groceries and whatever. So we wanted a vehicle, and we also wanted, at least a monthly kind of, contribution. And they said, no, we will do it. And it was not that it was going to be done through a particular politician or one individual. It was supposed to be done by a Ministry of Community Development.
Right.
Which looks after.
Yes, at ministry level,
So, it was very clear for me. It was not like, no, it
wasn't a kickback.
We are doing a social service here. And as a ministry, as a government, you have a ministry that deals with it.
Exactly, mandated to do that specific function.
So please, help us to get this. Unfortunately, immediately, they won. I kept on going to State House for 2 weeks. I was staying in State House. I'll go in the morning and come back in the evening, just waiting. Nothing happened. And I went away. So this made me very disappointed. I didn't feel, even because my children were very excited. They knew about this. And they were even going around looking for a house. Uncle, they used to call me, uncle, I think we should get a house there. I think we should get a house there. They were very excited. And when they didn't help us, it was a big blow, not only for me, but the children.
The people for whom the whole thing was set up for.
I was very, very upset, I tell you. I was really upset. And I say, politicians, you can't trust them. So since you can't trust the politicians, I have to fight them in their game. And that's how I decided to register a political party.
Okay, so let's talk time frame. So there was the Zambian Voice, and then after the Zambian Voice, the Patriotic Front. For the benefit of the audience, the Patriotic Front was had won the election in what year? 2016?
2011.
2011?
2011.
From the MMD.
Yes, from the MMD, and then the leader under the leadership of Michael Chilufya Tayali.
Yes.
And Michael Chilufya Tayali died in October of 2014.
Did you have communications with the PF in Michael Chilufya's reign?
Yes, I did. Particularly with Michael Chilufya Tayali himself. But I didn't ask anything from Michael Chilufya Tayali. No, I didn't. He knew me because of The Voice.
Exactly.
At one point, actually, I spoke about certain issues and he was very upset. So he called me. I went to say that. But anyway, I knew him. And so he died in 2014, in October. And then we had elections, okay? After 3 months, we had elections in January 2015.
Right.
So
where Edgar Lungu.
Yes, where now Edgar Lungu took over. And so what I'm talking about 2015. Okay, Edgar Lungu now is president. Sata is gone.
Yeah.
Under PF, still the PF. And then, so when they disappointed us, I started now the process of registering a political party, which eventually, because it took a bit of time in Zambia to register a political party.
Quite a lot of loopholes.
So we ended up registering a political party in February of 2016. That is when Economic and Equity Party was registered. February 2016. And that is now how I transitioned from Zambian Voice into being a president of this new party, Economic and Equity Party.
How was the change in the early days from the Zambian Voice now into politics? You were very vocal at the time. You were a personality. 80-90%. Only, how can I say, the bulk of the people who had access to radio and TV and print media knew who you were. Your name was very familiar.
Yes.
So the transition from NGO to political party in the first few months, maybe 12 months of it, how was that? Was it just a smooth transition? Did you have to adjust?
Not really, because you see, advocacy, running an NGO, advocating on governance issues is pretty much the same as playing politics. The only difference is that when you are in the non-governmental organization, you don't participate in elections. Okay? Yeah. You don't campaign for yourself. You speak basically for the people. Okay? But even as a politician, you speak for the people. But the difference is now that when there are elections, you are able to contest. Okay, you're able to contest. So that is the only difference, really. The advocacy, it's all advocacy.
Yes, it is.
It's all advocacy. Just that a politician espouses to contest an election when there is one. So that is the only difference. So it wasn't so much different, but the only challenge that was there was that now the business really suffered.
How so? Shouldn't you now get more? You got more publicity.
No,
so.
unfortunately, now I had more pressure. When I was advocate in Zambian Voice, I did I was not arrested really, for example, for my advocacy. But when I became a politician, something that changed was the arrest started. I started being arrested. And, politicians, the lifeline of a politician is resources. That is the lifeline.
Yeah, it's the lifeblood, yeah.
So once you cut the resources, it's difficult for a politician to really be there and be effective. So my business was targeted.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
My business was targeted. Clients were being targeted, being intimidated, being threatened to stop doing business with me and the company. My workers, they all dispersed because they were scared. They were being threatened and everything.
Sadly, that's one of the traits that came with the Patriotic Front at some point. In the beginning, it was very peaceful. It was very progressive. But, as history, anyone can look it up. Eventually, things really went out of hand.
Well, you're right. And what brought that was the stiff competition that was there. Because Hakainde Hichilema was very close to Edgar Lungu. He was very close. Look at in 2015, January 2015 elections, when Edgar Lungu became president for the first time,
Yeah.
he only beat Hakainde Hichilema by 28,000 votes.
That was very close.
28,000 votes. So this guy was really running, and Edgar Lungu was trying to do everything that he could to survive. So that's how you now saw, Kadarism coming in, violence coming in, people being arrested because it was, and it was 2015. This was like a by-election. This was a by-election, so to say.
Yeah.
2015. We had another election that was coming.
Yeah, the main
in 2016.
Yeah.
The general election.
The general election.
Because the earlier elections, when PF got power, was in 2011. So 2015, we have a by-election. But we only had a few months
before the general
election. And then you have a guy that is so close behind you.
Yeah. So
that is the kind of that is what brought the aggressivity and the many bad things that happened around PF.
What were some of these that happened to you, for example? I think there was the time when you were lynched from the house. You were surrounded wee hours of the morning, and
so a number of times I've had very traumatizing experiences with the police a number of times, but mostly with PF between the time that Edgar Lungu was in power, 2015 to 2021. Anyway, I was arrested only 3 times, really.
On what ground?
Well,
they would just mix up something, concoct something.
Well, it's mostly it is my arrest has always been, you have defamed the president, you have incited the people, you have incited the military. These are the kind
of military. I haven't heard of that one.
Well, at the moment,
is that more recent, or
this is more recent? This is now during the time of President Hakainde Hichilema.
Wow! Shouldn't I wait? Let me wrap my head around it. When we were during the Patriotic Front, things got out of hand. As you've explained very well, it was a very desperate time. There was a lot of pressure that was mounting in the country. But then when HH and his people won, when the UPND won, didn't things simmer down a bit more?
No, they have actually become worse.
No.
Absolutely.
Really?
I'm here now.
True.
I'm here now. I'm here now. With Edgar Lungu, like I say, Edgar Lungu became president in 2015 up to 2021. Okay? And I was arrested 3 times. With Hakainde Hichilema, since he came into power, 2021, within 2 years, that is 2021, 2022, I was arrested by 2021, 2022, I was arrested 12 times.
No!
12 times. Counting. 12 times. I can run you through 12 times. And as I'm sitting here, I've been, because that is 2021, 2022, as I'm sitting here, I've been arrested now 14 times.
Oh my God.
14 times. 14 times. And again, you have to understand in the environment in which these politicians operate and the desperation that they get. So,
wait, let me cut you for a minute. Isn't the current political party in power less under threat because they really do not have, unless you can educate me and the audience, do they have a very strong opposition party?
No, they don't. But unfortunately, they have. You see, PF had a well-identified opposition and a opposition leader,
which would be the
UPND and UPND. The UPND is opposition is not PF or a number of political parties. It is the economic challenges. As you know, globally, the economy, I mean, even in Australia, I've been reading what is happening in Australia and many other countries. I mean, we have an economic challenge, you know, so this has not spared Zambia. I mean, if you look at in Africa, we have been having, we were having riots in Ghana recently,
and in Kenya,
they changed the government.
Yes.
We in Kenya, in South Africa, in Malawi, in Nigeria. Then we have given these coups that have happened. So globally, there has been this challenge, even in Britain, for example.
Exactly, true.
Yeah. So this has put a lot of pressure on new governments because you know, a number of them, they were, yes, we had challenges during the PF. So they were campaigning on those challenges.
Yeah.
But as they were coming in, they faced this global challenge. So President Hakainde Hichilema, for example, when he came in, I mean, fuel was going up.
There was a drought, so no power.
Drought, food shortages, and you know, increasing in commodity prices because of the inputs, the fertilizer, and whatever. So and yet they were promising that, look, when we come into power, this commodity that you are buying at this price will actually reduce it.
As they would say, Bali would fix it.
Exactly. Now they come, so Bali comes in. If he finds that things are very difficult, there is a drought, electricity. In Zambia, we have been having load shedding for so many hours. You know, where in one day you would have maybe 3 hours of electricity. The rest, you don't have electricity. Some people in some areas, they go without electricity for days. So these are the challenges. So people talk about, no, the opposition is weak. Yes, the opposition is weak. But the challenges are greater than what the new government can do for the people.
How does that translate into having you know, incarcerated so many times? What pressure?
Well,
do you how are you the thorn in their side?
You know, in politics, the capital of politics is being able to articulate issues.
Yeah.
Being able to articulate issues, being able to follow up issues. Because politicians thrive on, you know, cheating people. I mean, basically, not telling the people the truth. You know, that is what they thrive. And feeding people with perceptions and theories.
Selling hope.
Exactly. But if you are able to, if you are critical, like I am, you know, so one day, President Hakainde Hichilema maybe will stand up and tell people this. But then I'll be like, hang on, this is not true. So the next day I'll be on radio, I'll be on TV. And now with social media, I use social media so much. I think in Zambia I was one of the first people that had I was actually the second, because there was Watchdog.
Yeah,
you know?
Zambian Watchdog.
Zambian Watchdog was more popular. I think the second place we were just basically alternating it between myself and the Lusaka Times, which is like a media house as well.
Yeah.
And they were longer, but I was quite strong on social media. I am. So how do they stop me? They stop me from going to radio. I've gone to radio, for example. I'm doing a radio interview. Cadres would come, beat me up, rough me up. Yes, I was beaten up in Chingola, for example. I went in Chingola. I'm having a radio interview like we are doing now. And cadres came in, pulling me in, live interview.
Wow.
I was thrown out, bundled into a car, and thrown out of the town. The other time I went to the Copper Belt, and they wanted to have interviews in Mufrila. They couldn't allow me to enter Mufrila. They cordoned Mufrila. The whole town was full of cadres. They were looking for me. But when they do that, I'll find a safe place and I'll go live on social media.
Yes, so luckily that's what Facebook and YouTube and all these other channels offer you. Yeah.
So unfortunately, it became very difficult. And that it has been very difficult. A number of politicians have been wanting to control me, but they find it difficult because mostly of social media. This is why the only way is to get me arrested and put me inside,
where they can see you
all the time. When they arrest me, the first thing that they get is my phone. All the time. I mean, at one point I had about 7 phones with the police because they were just they kept on confiscating them. So that is how I have been a thorn in the flesh of the politician, because I follow issues and I'm able to articulate issues, talk to people, and make people understand that this is actually not what it is.
And you do have a very considerable following. So
I do.
You have a lot of people who resonate with your criticality.
I do. I mean, and of course, you know, I'm that guy that you hate to laugh. Yeah, I'm that guy because there are people that, for example, if you go on my Facebook or whatever platform, you would have so many negative comments.
Yeah.
But whenever I go live, they still want to hear what I have to say.
Yeah, they do. Which is true.
They still want to hear, but then you see, but why are they torturing themselves to come and listen to me? And yet, you know, and yes, of course, because I am also very objective. I look at the issues. I don't look at individuals or personalities or the political party. So if an issue is not favoring the guy in power, I'll speak against that guy. If it is in the opposition, I'll speak. So sometimes I get to have this to say, but you are not consistent, because from their point of view, Zambia is highly polarized. You are either supporting the ruling party
or you're in the opposition.
Yeah. Okay. So when you are supporting the ruling party, they want you to sing all the praise for the ruling party, for President Hakainde Hichilema. But in my view, there are times when I will agree with President Hakainde Hichilema and I will say, yes, this is good. And his supporters will be very happy with me. Now you are talking. This is the Chilufya Tayali we want. But the following day, when he comes up with a policy that I do not agree with, for example, where you give concessions, you know, tax holidays
to the mining,
when you need the money. I mean, how do you do that?
Yeah, how does that work?
Meanwhile, you are asking IMF and other financial institutions to give you money. How does that? That doesn't make sense. You know, you are giving this side, and meanwhile you're saying, no, I don't have money. And really, at this point in time, I think every country needs to hold on to whatever resources.
Yeah, they're natural resources.
You know, so on those issues, this is where we have sort of been not been in agreement with the ruling party, and I have posed to be a thorn in their flesh because I have a number of people following, especially the young people. Zambia is about 52%
the
young people. So that bothers them a lot. And this is why at the end of the day, they had to give me a charge of inciting mutiny.
Wait. So this is the more recent one where you were...
Yes.
Please, let's double click on that. When you say inciting mutiny, is that the one where you were inciting the military or something like that?
I never incited the military. Never.
Mutiny is a very strong term. It's a strong word.
It carries a life sentence.
Yes, it does.
According to our penal code, it carries a life sentence in Zambia.
If proven guilty.
Yes. And I never incited the military. It is very simple. The military were not paid for 3 months. January, February, March, they were not paid. Because, of course, the government was struggling with resources.
Naturally, like the rest of the world.
Yeah, and they couldn't pay them. And then there was another promise which President Hakainde Hichilema made. You know, these military officers that go out in the missions, in the war-torn zones.
Under the UN kind of,
they are given an allowance. They are supposed to give an allowance, but that allowance was being cut in half. They were giving them 50%. Okay, so if your allowance is $100, instead of giving you $100, they would they would give you $50. And the $50, they used to say it is for administration.
When they offered houses and so on, some like houses on concession?
Well, no, nothing like that. But anyway, Hakainde Hichilema did promise the military to say, when I come into office, I will give you your full allowance, 100%. So now he comes into power. He has not given them he didn't give them the 100%, and then they also went without pay. Now, honestly, which country defaults on paying the military? Which country? I mean, where is your sensitivity in terms of security? 3 months? And I spoke about that. And I said, I never said anything more than what I'm saying here.
Yeah.
Which country neglects or defaults on paying the military? What are you looking for?
So they got wind of that and then...
I said it, of course, on social media. And with that, they brought down my Facebook page. They brought it down. They shut it down.
Zikta.
Well, it's not Zikta. Zikta does not control the servers of Facebook.
No, it doesn't.
It's Facebook. It's Facebook. It's Facebook itself. Zikta, who is Zikta? It's Facebook.
Yeah.
And this is where, you know, sometimes, I mean, we appreciate the platforms that we are given by these companies, the Meta and X, but they also influence politics.
They do.
They do. And sometimes they actually stifle the very freedom that they want to give us. You know, it is okay as long as it is in their interest. If you say something that is not in their interest, then that is not freedom of expression. They shut you down. President Hakainde Hichilema did very well. He had a lot of consultants that went as far as, Meta. They used the social media so much in their campaign. And me using Meta to project my voice, talking about these things, they shut me down. They shut me down.
Are you still shut down, or?
They shut me down. I had to open another page.
Right.
But the page that I had, which I opened a long time, it was shut down. No reason given, nothing. You just open and it's not there. I wrote to them, I protested, I couldn't get an answer.
Let's tone it down a little bit. Let's bring it down to your human side. So you were single for the longest time. I think you were eligible bachelor for I remember a time when it wasn't really making national news, but there were murmurs for quite a while that you were single for a long time.
Yes, I was single for 10 years. When I was at campus, when I was at UNZA, I met this young lady and we started staying together and we had 2 children. So this was 2003.
Right.
Yeah, 2003. And we stayed together. We had 2 children. One was born in 2003. The other one was born in 2007. And in 2009, we separated. So I took custody of the children.
Okay.
The 2 girls. So 2009, I was just for that 10 years anyway. I was just with my
single
parents.
Girls. Yeah.
Because I wanted them to grow. I didn't want to, Yeah.
Yeah, specifically the girl child. Yeah,
Exactly.
they do need your presence and so on.
Now they are big girls. Now they are big girls. So The one that she's, the one was born in 2003. She's now 21 years old. She just completed university. She did civil engineering, and she completed last year.
Okay, in Zambia.
In Zambia, and then the other one is also in the university here.
Congratulations. What is the younger one studying?
Computer science.
Following up to the father?
Software engineering.
Okay. Then you got married?
Then later on I got married. You know.
Was it with the same person or you?
No. I got married to an Ethiopian. I went to holiday. In 2018, I went for holiday in Ethiopia. And I met this beautiful young lady who was very nice to me. And 2019, we got married.
In the same year?
2019.
Yeah.
I went in 2018.
Okay.
We got married in 2019. 2019, and 2020, we had another girl. And
3 girls?
Yeah. So I've got 3 girls.
That's a lot of work.
Well, it's very nice. Given a chance or asked to do it again, I think I would.
Go.
They've been very nice. Really, really nice.
How are you managing the work-life balance? Because you are very busy on the social side, on the political side, and then you're also a full-time father, three girls.
Yeah, and
how do you?
Well, I mean, now it is more difficult because now my family is scattered. My wife is in Ethiopia. My other 2 girls right now, as we speak, they are in another country right now as we speak. They're in another country. They're not in Zambia, but they're in another country. Yeah, they're in Mauritius anyway. And I'm here. So that has really disturbed me. I am a very strong family person. Sometimes I actually say, Chilufya Tayali, the married man, family comes first. Because really for me, I think most of the social problems that we have, which filter even into the leadership and the corruption and everything, they start from the home.
Yeah.
Because if somebody is brought up well at home, yes, people can digress, can become mutants, but at least there is a higher chance of somebody being a responsible adult. And in whatever field they go in, at least you can expect some normalcy.
So firm foundation.
So that is very important for me. Family is very important. I have not compromised on my family before. I work. Sometimes I work as much as I can, but there are certain things that I say, this I must do. For example, I deliberately, told my wife that we're supposed to ride in one car. Even if we have money, we could afford to buy 2 cars. But I said, no, we have to ride in one car. And we'll take the children to school ourselves. Not issue of, driver, an arranged private transport. No. We drove our children to school. We picked them up, mostly myself, because we would go together, drop them to school. I would drop my wife and I would go on whatever. During the day, I would go and pick my children. So I used to be very busy, really. Sometimes, yes, I would forget my children, not really that I would forget that, you're working.
On the other side, yeah.
And then you have to rush, you have to, pick that. Nonetheless, and those are some of the differences which we had with my wife, because she was like, no, you are too stubborn, because I said, no, we have to do it. If I can pick my child, 90% and I fail 10%, I would rather.
I mean, you can't throw away 90%,
Yeah.
just because of 10%.
Because of 10%. So, and even of course, sometimes also women like it, when they are driving by themselves and whatever. But it bonds the family.
It does.
Yeah, it bonds the family when you go together. And even when knocking off, I have to go and pick my wife. So whatever I'm doing, I have to stop. It forces me to stop and be with my wife in the car. There is traffic, you are driving 1 hour, that's a good time.
Yeah, that is a lot of time to talk. You can start an argument and end the argument and get home and be in love again within the traffic.
Exactly.
Which has happened to me so many times.
So that for me, those are some of the things that I've insisted on as a family. Find time. Families, I strongly believe, families, no matter how busy you are, you need to find time to bond. Time to bond. Like what we used to do, one of the other things is that we deliberately all the time we had to pick up a movie that we were watching.
They can watch as a family.
As a family. So there's a time, 20 hours, we have to watch. Doesn't matter what, all of us, we have to take at least that 30 minutes, watch, and then I'll go on to do my coding, whatever. My wife would also go on doing whatever. But anyway, I like family. I really behold family.
How is that? Is that taking? I know it's a dumb question, but what kind of toll? Because for everything that you've been going through and still going through, it does. You're human at some point, right? So, is it reinforcing? Is it creating more fortitude for yourself than what you're going through? Is it bringing you actually closer as a family man? Is it reinforcing your position, as you said, Chilufya Tayali, the married man with or is it causing strife?
No, it's difficult now. It's because now I'm in a situation that I have to hold things,
remotely.
Yeah, I have to hold my family. As much as I'm here alone. My two daughters,
in another country.
My wife and the little one, they are also in another country. So I have to hold this. So thank God, with the modern technology, we are able to video chat. So it is like a routine each time when they wake up, because we have the time differences.
Yeah.
So 12 hours, it's a routine. I have to talk to my wife when she's going to my wife and Kia.
The child, yeah.
As she's going to school, she dresses up, with my...
Yeah, with the video call.
And I'm like, come on, Kia, put your shirt properly. The tie is not okay. And she'll be eating and the phone is there and we are talking and she's telling me stories. When she knocks off, when the mother picks her up, immediately, we are talking. She video calls and she'll tell me about the teacher. The teacher this, what. Today it was the big sister's birthday, so we had to again chat. So today it's a birthday. So it's not easy, but I try to do what I can to keep the contact with both my children and my wife.
That's very, very admirable. It's a very admirable trait. I do a lot of flying myself, and a lot of that video calling.
Yes, you just have to.
Yeah,
and you don't have to slack. You have to just do it. Sometimes, even as you are distant, sometimes you also don't agree with each other. The video call has to go
happen, yeah, as a staple. So bringing it back to politics, it sounds like in the beginning, the Patriotic Front did you wrong, but over the years you were a strong advocate for them. There was a time when you were a really, really strong advocate for them.
Yeah, I think I've been a strong advocate for the PF.
Yeah,
and even when I didn't support them, they actually lost.
Did they? Okay.
When I didn't support them, they actually lost. And that's in 2021. I didn't support them in 2021 because I realized they grew so arrogant. And I said, no, this can't go on. This can't go on. As much as I didn't agree with President Hakainde Hichilema on a number of issues, because President Hakainde Hichilema, from my point of view, is more of a capitalist.
Yeah.
Is more capitalistic oriented. I am more of a social liberalist. Okay, I want the balance.
Yeah.
Let things, the business control its, run, but the social aspect must not be left out.
Yeah.
So we tend to differ mostly
on approaches,
on policy. So I've been a strong advocate of the PF. The only challenge is that they are not coherent. They are not coherent, and this is where people tend to blame me to say, no, you are not consistent, because you agree, but then eventually they don't.
They veer from what the party line.
And the people want me to continue supporting. How do I do that?
Yeah.
So, so that is the problem.
Was there ever a conversation about joining the PF, relinquishing your party?
Oh, both parties, both sides have
the UPND as well.
Have yes, both sides have desired me to join them, but like I said, we don't agree on everything. There are too many issues that I don't agree with with either PF or UPND for me to join them. My party is a small party, and it suffers from the issues of resources, lack of resources, and certainly for me to survive politically, I need these two guys. Okay, I need these two guys. And
explain that a little bit. What do you mean? Do you need them to exist, or do you need to cooperate with them?
I need to cooperate. I need to cooperate with them, with either of them. So, and unfortunately, for example, when Hakainde Hichilema was in opposition, he was arrested by Edgar Lungu, and he charged him with treason. And I spoke out on my own as another opposition, speaking against the PF to say this is wrong. Okay? Unfortunately, I was arrested for it. Okay? I was arrested for what I said. I didn't say it in the interest of Edgar Lungu. I spoke in the interest of Hakainde Hichilema. I spoke in the interest of justice. Okay? But then I was arrested. And arrested, I needed help. You need lawyers, you need what? It becomes
quite expensive.
Yes. So, UPND, because of course what I said was
in their favor,
they came in and helped me. But if they had not come in to say, okay, no, you are an opposition and you say you spoke in the interest of justice, it was going to be difficult.
Yeah.
Even this time around, now UPND is in power and they are accusing me that I'm inciting the military to rise against them. I'm arrested. Who comes to my aid?
The
it's
PF.
the PF. So at different times I have, these guys coming in, these guys coming in. But if I had the resources,
then you wouldn't need.
I don't need them.
You'd stand on your own.
I would even say, no, thank you very much. We will manage on our own. Because of lack of resources.
Doesn't that muddle your legacy?
Well,
aren't you striking a very fine balance between, because either way, like for external parties such as myself, not a political party, for external people or observers or an external audience, it would then be, I wouldn't know these machinations that you're mentioning, the intricacies of what happens. All I would see would be, for example, your Facebook Live, and I would see 7 of them. And, this one would talk about this subject, this one would be a different subject, then the third one would conflict, and then it would come back again, the fifth, so it seems as though you are
oscillating between
the term is you're neither here nor there, but in your case you're both here and there.
So, and this is the issue which many people fail to get.
Yeah.
It is not about this party or that party. It is the advocacy. A good example is the one that I've given about Hakainde Ichile. When I spoke to say this is not treason, it was not about HA.
No, it wasn't a personality. Yeah.
No, it's about justice. It's about justice. But when people hear you speak like that, oh no, because of the polarization that is there, and failing to detach issues from individuals and the political parties, when you speak like that, is now with UPND.
Yeah.
Is now with UPND. When you speak against the UPND, is now with PF.
Yeah.
No, I'm neither PF, no.
I mean,
UPND.
you have your own party.
I have my own party. And what I talk about, it's the issues. I don't go out to say, I'm supporting a vote for UPND, whatever. No, it is about the issue. Like recently, okay, when HH was arresting me, the PF were coming to my aid, but really I was not PF.
Yeah,
I was not PF. They were just helping me because I'm found in this predicament. And Edgar Lungu started, wanted to come back. Okay? And really, from my point of view, I realized Hakainde Ichilema was failing. Okay? Was failing. And I wanted Edgar Lungu to come back.
Let's take a short break. Hold that thought. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll take a short break and then we'll come back. When we come back, we'll hear more about how our guest, Mr. Tayali here, had wanted a resurgence of the previous president, actually, President Edgar Lungu, to come back for a third term, I think it was. We'll be right back.
The world, every nugget worth its while. Voices echo in the night. Across the voice.